What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, you guys. Here we are on this, the 29th of April, sitting at about $95,000. Actually, more like 94.7K, a little bit lower. 10 hours, 43 minutes left in the day. One day, 11 hours left in the month. We're coming up upon the end of the month here. The goal, again, in the next day and 11 hours, one day, 10 hours and 40 minutes actually, is to close above $102.4 thousand. Now, some people have a problem with this. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. I want to be clear. If we close above here, powerful signal, very powerful signal. If we close here, still a powerful signal. We've bullishly engulfed our last month. We're even at the wicking high, like still very powerful signal, moving up 15% in a month. For Bitcoin after seeing this quarter of a year of downside, right? It's not a bad thing. So either way, the goal would be to close above 102.4K because that is a more powerful signal. But even if we don't, who cares? It's fine. Looking at the daily time frame though, we're looking at this RSI. I really do like the RSI. We are overbought, yes, but that doesn't mean that we have to go down. We could continue to grow. We're at a point where we might be bouncing off the overbought zone. Today is critical for that to be proven valid or invalid. If today closes red, any degree red, we're only down 0.3%, but if we close red even here or lower, especially lower, it's looking like this overbought bounce is just a dud, and we actually will go down to the 60 to find support, or the 50 to find support, or somewhere in between, and then try again later. And if that's the case, maybe all the people who are expecting that we do see prices down at about 88K to 85K, maybe they'll be proven right. And that's a very possible outcome that we should accept, right? Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I think every single day for the last week, we have talked about the possibility of going down here, right? The only time that I was convinced of that possibility was like day one and day two. But now that we've moved sideways like this, I'm not so much under that impression. In fact, the more that I hear people in the space, and the majority of the people in the space do think that we're going to see a little pullback from here, that makes me think that we are in fact going to go higher. Because my real expectation that I've been saying since here, I've probably been saying it for longer than that even, is that this move up is going to be faster than people anticipate. Granted, this consolidation phase is taking a little bit longer, but we consolidated just like this back here. Where was the pullback there? Where was the pullback to prior support here? Where was the pullback to prior support here? You know what I mean? We didn't pull back here. We just consolidated, moved sideways, and then moved up. I'm assuming that's what we're going to do now. We've, if you replace this kind of thought, we just consolidated right above the 50 and then pushed higher. We're consolidating right above the overbought zone, finding support at prior resistance. We might push higher. But again, that does hinge on this day, 10 hours, 40 minutes left, closing green and not red. So let's come up by the end of the day. Let's see if we have a reason to believe that. Beyond just seeing this, yesterday we did close with a bullish engulfing candle, which is nice. That's rather indicative and suggested that we could continue higher. It wouldn't surprise me at all if we did, but don't count on that, right? Don't just count on that as your sole example of going higher. The RSI is in a good position, but let's just see if we can validate that with some shorter term time frames. Let's look at the 1 hour. We'll start at the 15-minute even. Hell, we'll do that and we'll build our way up. Okay, so the 15-minute RSI. What I will say is it looks like you're moving down without volume, right? Volume's decaying as you're moving down. That's encouraging, right? 15-minute time frame. We have 10 hours, 40 minutes left. There's a lot. We could move. We could do a whole lot of stuff before the end of this day, you guys. But it really wouldn't surprise me if we started moving up from here. Actually, we're at this area in the RSI where we've been bouncing from. We might go a little bit lower, and it's fine if we do, but higher lows overall, I'm not worried about it. I think that we are going to recover. I think that we will come up here pretty soon. Very neutral in the RSI right now, but very neutral in the price. So of course that's how it's going to be. 1 hour time frame. Again, kind of in this, I don't even know what kind of pattern this would be. It's some kind of symmetrical triangle, I suppose, up here. We're going to break out soon. You know that we're going to break out soon because the volume, again, is dying off. When you're in any kind of consolidation phase, right, as the volume dies off, that's when you're at the end of the phase. The volume, I guess, has been pretty consistent all the way through if we're looking at it on a 15-minute time frame. But the volume is dying off here as we're making our move down. That makes me think less of this move down, and also it adds to the idea that we're about to break out one way or another, up or down. We'll see. 1 hour time frame here. Pretty neutral, a pretty neutral 1 hour RSI. I will say it's more bullishly leaning, if anything. I always love a nice like flat top like this, right, where you're finding resistance there with ascending lows. I like that kind of structure. It's normally indicative of higher things to come, not lower things to come. But you never know, man. You never know. If we're looking at this here, you know, how would we know that we're breaking out to the downside if you want a price perspective for that? Let's see, from a high to a low here. I would say sure, yeah, 15-minute time frame, or maybe an hourly time frame. If we get an hour to close below 94.7K, sure, maybe we are going lower. Maybe we do in fact go down to prices that are around or that are below 93K. You know, that could happen, but don't take that too heavily, right? The 1 hour time frame can be deceitful. These lower term time frames can definitely be deceitful. You could see a 1 hour close below 94.7 and then the next hour closes right above it and we start moving higher. So don't hold that too tight, but that's something that I would look for, right? If we close below 94.7K, I might be inclined to believe that we go lower, but on a 1 hour time frame specifically, okay? 1 hour RSI, with that being said, looks bullish to me. I think it wants to go higher. It wouldn't surprise me if by the end of the day we started moving up. I like the way the 1 hour looks. Let's look at the 4 hour time frame. 4 hours, same thing, man. This tells me not so much about by the end of the day, but more so about the coming days, right? You look at this, you've got higher lows coming up here, nice higher lows in succession with these higher highs too. You're in a nice little parallel channel on your 4 hour time frame. You're probably coming to a point where you will consolidate. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. You know, you look at this on a daily time frame. Our consolidations so far as we move up are just sideways. But I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this next move, wherever it takes us, here, there, wherever we go, if we actually saw some proper consolidation, you know, something like this that wasn't just sideways moving. But you never know. As long as we cool off on the indicators, I mean, if we just move sideways, that's you can cool off on your indicators, man, and get set up for whatever direction you're trying to go to. Bitcoin can definitely move sideways for a while. This was like a whole month of moving sideways here, guys. It was like 20 days. 4 hour time frame, right? 4 hour. What it's telling me, at least from what I'm getting here with the RSI, seems like you're in a parallel channel going up. Looks like you're kind of rounding out this bottom here. You're getting ready to go into the overbought zone for one last little hoorah. Maybe you see a higher high than this high. Maybe you see a lower high. Whatever. If you get out of the overbought zone, you find support at the 50 and you get back into the overbought zone, that tends to be a very bullish thing. And I would not be surprised at all if this, because it is the 4 hour time frame, this is suggestive that within the next like 3 days is normally how I like to interpret it. 5 days, 3 days, maybe 2 days, maybe tomorrow, we'll be in the overbought zone, and with that we'll be moving higher. Again, the goal to keep in mind is that with this 4 hours specifically looking like this, if we can get in the overbought zone by the end of today or sometime early tomorrow, we're in a position, guys, where we'll start to grow, and we really could see prices up as high as like 104K by the end of this month. And the goal is to get above 102.4K, right? If we get above 102.4K, that's not enough, actually. I shouldn't say that. We need to close above there. We need to close the month above there. We don't need to. It would just look nice, okay? So overall, the short-term time frames agree with the notion that we'll move higher. Speaking of something that I said earlier, we have a flat top here and ascending lows. You guys know how much I like that formation. That tends to be good, right? We're shaving off the areas of support. We're climbing higher. Anybody who wants to buy at lower prices, you're slowly whittling away your opportunities for that, right? This is, as crazy as it is right now, man, 94.8K. This is a lower price. You're down 0.3% in the last 4 hours. This is your dip. Buy the dip, hold the rip, sell the tip. You know what I mean? That's what we're trying to do. And this really is not a dip at all. Of course, I'm just making a joke there, but it basically is for this range right here, right? You're not going to get much more than this. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm going to end the video with this thought, okay? I'm anticipating there's a lot of people who are expecting that the price moves down, okay? I'm anticipating that down here, there were a lot of people throughout this whole time that got scared that the bull market might not be in effect, and they de-risked. They took off. Maybe they didn't sell everything. Maybe they did, but they sold some. My opinion is, because back here I remember most people were not convinced that we would pump yet. A lot of people thought that we still had lower to go. I'm assuming there's a lot of people with money on the sidelines. They weren't a part of this pump, right? But they want to be. They wish they were. They want to be. And maybe they're practiced. Maybe they FOMO'd in up here. Whatever. If you're practiced, you're probably waiting for a pullback. But the thing is, just going off of that kind of instinct alone to wait for a pullback is not enough. You got to look at the indicators, and right now the indicators are actually suggesting that we go higher. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I had a friend who was talking to me about being overbought. He's like, yeah, but we're overbought in the daily. We got to cool off. Well, that's not true, actually, man. You know, like here we were overbought. We were looking like we had to cool off, but then we continued to run, right? Imagine if you said that here in this phase of consolidation. Oh yeah, but we're overbought. We have to cool off. Well, okay, but then Then from a low point to a high point, you missed an overall 17% pump. Imagine saying that here when you're at 90K and then Bitcoin moves up to about $100,000. What's that going to do to you emotionally? You might FOMO. You might think you're missing out on something. I was wrong. How is it still moving up? This thing's defying gravity. It's going to keep going. And then you FOMO in at the top, and that's a bad thing. You could have bought at a decent price, back here, or if you just waited right here, whatever. All I'm trying to say is, no, you don't need to get out of the overbought zone to cool off. It's nice if you do. It's nice to cool off, but the reality is it's actually better to be in the overbought zone than it is to be out of it. You see your strongest moves when you are in the overbought zone. Look at this, right? As soon as we got overbought here, that was here, but that was just if we look at this move overall from a low to a high, okay, 40% move in 9 days. When we got overbought, it was here at the closing point. Only 13% of that move was that initial day when we got overbought. The rest of it, the majority of it, came after we got overbought, right? Of course, it's nice to get into something before it gets overbought, because then you can catch the early parts of the move. You squeeze that lemon for all the juice it's got, right? But once we get overbought, and we only started getting overbought here, this tells me that the move's not over, but rather that it's just beginning. And I think if the move is just beginning back here when we finally got overbought for our first time in months and over a quarter of a year, my thought would be, we're probably going to have more to go, and we haven't gone up yet. So we have a little bit more to go. Where's that going to be? We take a high to a low. Come on now, high to a low. Come on now. High to low. Minimum target would be 100.7 thousand. Next target would be 104.6 thousand. Anything above that is fine with me, but the ideal area to go to is 102.4K, just above there, so we get that monthly bullish engulfing candle that literally engulfs this entire last 6 months of price action. Everything that we consolidated, all the people who are saying we're in a bear market, the bull market's over, we're in a bear market, you'll have no choice but to flop back to being bullish, because, man, if we bullishly engulf your bear market scenario, that's definitely not a bear market, guys. That's the strength of the bull market, and strength it has. Even if we don't get that, closing here is fine, but I'm just saying, man, crazy stuff. Do we have an example of that happening at all? I don't know if we do. Probably not. I mean, here, kind of, but the next month you went down, right? And you kind of did engulf that whole area there. I don't know. Very powerful signal, though, you guys. That's all I got to say. Hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, and I am anticipating that by the end of the day we start moving up. Look at that. We've already moved up a little bit, so we'll see how it goes. The next day and a half might be rather exciting. Okay, bye-bye.